The first presidential debate is scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but is it actually going to happen? There's some signs that the answer might be no. If it does, the Biden campaign seems pretty confident that they can get something out of this. They think that Donald Trump is gonna be unfiltered. He's gonna say all the crazy sort of stuff he always says on the debate stage, and that will help them. And I think that's a pretty safe bet because that's how every debate with Donald Trump has gone. But former Trump spokeswoman, Kayleigh McEnany, she thinks that they should not be so confident that Trump will be an agent of chaos on the debate stage.
I think if they expect to show up against an undisciplined Trump, they haven't watched the last month and a half where he's been very disciplined, very on message.
Oh, he's different. He's a new Trump, not wild, not chaotic. He's disciplined. He's on message. He keeps it together. It's tight. It's focused on policy. Let's take a live shot of Donald Trump, the new Donald Trump, being disciplined and on message.
So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
The one rational takeaway is that if it comes to it, I want everyone to bear in mind that he said he'll take electrocution, just if we're looking for an option. Anyway, so that's the new Trump, on message, tight and focused, talking about boats sinking and electrocuting him and shark attacks and why are sharks biting that woman and people are sick because they think a shark did. It's absolute madness. I love that there were people like at that rally standing behind him and they're listening to that. Is this like he's the savior of their people and this is what he's delivering? Can you imagine if Bernie Sanders delivered a speech like that and you were there and he's talking about utter nonsense? Donald Trump does not have a functioning brain. And that might well be better than what he can provide on the debate stage because he was relaxed there on the debate stage. He's gonna be pressured and anxious. So he may be like hoping to deliver a performance like that, Sharon.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you.
But anyway, what do you think? What do you think will actually happen if they have their debate?
And I think I said it right away that I'm not sure it will when it was announced. I think that he's so easily triggered. He's so easily bothered. And I would be bothered too if I'd said those things about veterans, that I think he won't be able to control himself and he won't be able to follow the instructions or the playbook that his team will have laid out for him. And because he won't have anyone on his team who is somewhat normal and reasonable and knows how these things should run, no one's gonna be able to control him. So I think he will be unhinged. Hopefully there's rules in place too, John, so that he won't go behind as if he's, looking for Joe Biden to twerk him. Remember how he followed Hillary Clinton all over the stage, and it was very weird. So hopefully they'll have a little box, and maybe if you go outside it, or maybe they can put a collar on him. They do that sometimes with dogs. Like it doesn't necessarily.
He said he'll take electrocution.
It just wakes them up. Yeah, he said he likes it. So some people like that kind of thing.
He stalked her like a shark actually would. My final thing on this is, The story that he just told, he tells it from his point of view, but he, like Michael Scott, does not know what social situation he's in when it's happening. He was talking to a guy who sells boats. And he said, the guy's like, I never heard that question before. And Trump's like, I'm very smart because someone in my family went to MIT, so I guess I'm smart. The story he told was of him asking a question of a guy who sells boats that was so stupid that the guy didn't even know how to respond to it. And the guy apparently was a fan of Trump, and I guess coming out of it, he still is. But I have a feeling you lost some respect for Donald Trump coming out of that, because he's like, what are you talking about with the batteries and the sharks? Like, everybody focuses on the crowd, and I get that. But think about the guy who sells the boats who had to listen to that nonsense. But anyway, it might not happen after all. They've been sort of testing the waters. Here's friend and confidant to Donald Trump, Sean Hannity, bringing this up.
Now, there are some even saying, Mark, that Donald Trump might be wise to just pass on the first debate, wait till he's nominated, then debate him. What would you say to that?
I want to be very clear. He's the one saying that. He's like, no, there's people saying it would be wise, in fact, smart, statesman-like to not do the debate. Who is saying that? Have you seen anyone saying that other than Sean Hannity and now Fox News, thanks to Sean Hannity? There are op-eds responding to what Sean Hannity said, but he just came up with that, and he doesn't even have the cojones to say that that's his advice to Donald Trump. Instead, he's like, yeah, no, there's people in liberal cafes saying that it would be super wise of him. But he goes on to say even more, and every word out of Sean Hannity's mouth projects unfailingly that he does not think that Donald Trump can win this thing. He said, I think we'll see the return of jacked up Joe. Whatever Joe drank, ate, took before the State of the Union, maybe it was just Red Bull and caffeine pills, I don't know. Whatever it was, that was not the normal Joe. We never saw it before and we haven't seen it since, but we will see it for the debate. So again, it might be wise to not do it. Joe Biden's gonna be amazing. So he's already taking down the expectations for Donald Trump. And then he says this, Joe might have done Donald Trump a favor, and I say this affectionately, by insisting that when it's not his turn to speak that they mute his microphone, because I think that was a mistake in the first debate in 2020. He's just saying the less Trump can be heard, the better. Yeah, mute his microphone. I say it affectionately, it's better for Trump to not be able to cut in and interject. And so look, there's been a lot of talk now about the possibility that maybe this means that he might pull out. We know that Sean Hannity and Donald Trump exchanged tons of text messages and everything. We know that Donald Trump is probably actually terrified of getting on the debate stage. That's why he avoided it in the Republican primary. That's why he kept pulling out in 2020 and 2016 out of all those debates. He doesn't actually have the confidence that he feigns. And so you, Sharon, I think you lean towards it's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah, from the very start. What benefit would it be to Donald Trump to debate Joe Biden? He'll do the usual insults, but if they cut the mic, is it really gonna land with America, who's into that kind of juvenile sophomore type of thing? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it can happen. And what I believe is he won't even use the excuse that, well, I'm being sentenced and I got this distraction in New York the next day or something like that. What they'll do is they're going to seize upon, make up, lie about something that Joe Biden did. We wanted them to do this last minute, and they also are doing this. We can't put up with it, and that's why we can't do the debate. They'll look for the lie to come next, because the lie always comes. But it'll be something to the effect of the Biden campaign breached what we agreed to, and so now we cannot come to Atlanta.
Maybe. Look, I still think, and maybe I'm naive, it would look so cowardly to pull out. And look, I also know that it will not be seen by most of his base as pulling out. They'll do the thing that you just said, the PR cover. Sean Hannity will be like, how dare the Bidens not abide by this thing that doesn't exist? Even though he was the one saying the dude shouldn't debate. And if it was the opposite way, if Joe Biden pulled out, they'd be talking about it's Sleepy Joe, they're hiding him. By the way, I'm not gonna play the audio. I saw an audio of Sean Hannity from 2020 where he was saying that Joe Biden is gonna pull out. He was also, at the same time, he kept going back and forth that Joe Biden needs to be handled. He's being hidden on the campaign trail, but also he was doing a version of the jacked up Joe. Well, but if he does debate, then he's gonna be so prepped and on drugs and all that stuff. It's like they have to protect Trump. They can't just, we're just talking about the debates. In a second, we'll talk maybe about what Joe Biden should do if it does happen. But he has to say everything that the Trump base wants to hear, everything that Trump hears. And so he has to provide cover for Trump to pull out because he knows that Trump is a little baby boy. He was very afraid of losing this thing. But he also has to defend Trump if he's there because now it's jacked up Joe. And he also has to pretend that Trump could win this debate, even though he's projecting that he doesn't think he can. And that's why it comes off as so weird and so contradictory. But if they do debate, I know you don't think they will, what would your advice be to Joe Biden to get the most out of this?
Stay on message and ignore what's his face. Because if not, you'll end up talking about cereal and nonsense. So you have to just ignore Donald Trump and get the message across. I don't know, he's so disruptive, even with the rules about the microphone and whatever, that I don't know if that's gonna matter. I think it could though, if it takes place, because remember what and who Donald Trump feeds off of. He needs like this whole, Wizard of Oz type of thing where people are cheering even when he says dumb things about sharks, and then he kind of performs more like a little kid. When kids are toddlers and somebody laughs even though they're being inappropriate, they pass gas or something, and Aunt Barbara thinks it's funny, and so then they do more and more and more. And so I don't know. He's going to do something. He'll probably have an earpiece in. Steve Bannon or Stephen Miller will be there. He could. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just, what could Joe Biden do? Stay on message, talk about the things that bother him, like the veterans that he disrespected, the criminality. You're a felon too. I don't know that Trump should even bring up Hunter Biden, but we'll see.
Well, I think him bringing up that Trump is a felon, which I'm not sure that he will lead inevitably to Trump talking about Hunter Biden. And I think his attacks against Hunter Biden will backfire and will make him look really bad. I think that Joe Biden needs to go out there, look capable, look like you have some energy, let Trump look deranged. The strategy that they're talking about of letting Trump be unleashed and look crazy, I know that you could perceive that as being weak from Biden, but Trump lost every debate against Hillary and Joe Biden because of this. I would say just let that pattern continue. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.